recording?
All right, good evening. This is the Tilton Northfield Fire Commissioners meeting. It is Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. We're in the Tilton Town Hall downstairs meeting room. Present are the commissioners, the chief, the two deputy chiefs, Kathy, Helen as always. Thank you so much for coming. And tonight we have with us representatives from Mitchell Municipal Group, Laura and Joe. Why don't you come on over?
Hey.
Tim Sadler.
Hi, Tim. Nice to meet you.
Mike Sita.
Hi, Mike. Nice to meet you.
Jason, right?
Hi, Jason.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Jason.
Mike Ross.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Sean,
Hi,
hey,
Laura.
nice to meet you.
Mike.
Laura?
Nice to meet you.
Joe.
Joe and Sean.
And Helen, as always. Hi. Nice to meet you.
Hello. We haven't quite got it wrapped into this side of the table yet. So welcome, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
We're in the position where our prior legal counsel has left his firm and gone out on his own, quasi towards retirement. And then the firm has decided that they're no longer going to do municipal government work, so we took the opportunity to ask around and invite firms to come in and meet with us. So that's why you're here.
Great. I feel like I spend half my life in this building these days.
To dealing with
The zoning board and the planning board.
So that's sort of where we are. I don't know that we have typically too much for legal need other than we had that case with the water department that went on for a while. But
We saw your budget a couple of years ago. It was a little high.
yeah, so typically whatever normal
So,
municipal type.
yeah, municipal lien, not liens, but utility easements for if we're going to put a dry hydrant or a cistern in, contract review, reviewing of warrant articles. That would be the major part of it, and also making sure that somebody could attend our district meeting.
When do you usually hold that?
That's the first Monday after the second Tuesday in March. So it's a Monday night, it's not one of the Saturdays where most of the other municipalities have their stuff, so.
Okay. Did you find yourself a moderator?
Nope.
Yeah.
Helen?
It's been working
Yeah,
on
we
it.
already threw that.
I tried to refuse. I said I couldn't speak if I was a moderator.
So maybe you could share a little bit about you folks and the firm and.
Our firm was formed in 1995 by Walter Mitchell and Tim Bates, both of whom have since retired. I joined the firm in 2003, and I've been there ever since. Our firm only represents municipalities, so we don't have any private clients, which is wonderful because it means we very rarely have conflicts unless we have two towns who are butting heads, in which case, as a general rule, we just back out from representing anyone and we refer both towns to other counsel. The situation I would imagine might arise here is if you have issues with the town of Tilton, because we represent the town of Tilton. But I can't imagine that those issues arise very often. But maybe I'm naive.
It did once before, though. It has happened once before. It was years ago when the two towns wanted to split. And they did get legal advice from lawyers, so.
Right.
And it could
It
happen
could happen,
again.
it can happen.
It could
So,
happen again.
That's a possibility. So that's all we do. We represent towns and village districts, and so we are lucky enough that when problems arise, as a general rule, we have seen them before. And ironically, we often find that when weird problems arise, they arise in multiple towns. So we see them once and then we see them 2 or 3 times that year, and we're able to research them once and answer them 10 times. So that works for us. So Joe has been with us for
basically 5 years
Yeah.
at this point.
Again, just doing nothing but municipal law. I tend to do our appellate work. Joe tends to do our trial work. We also have with us Naomi Butterfield, who does most of our employment work. And we have a brand new associate, Chris Perry, who is fresh out of law school, but he's not your typical fresh out of law school person. It's sort of his second career later in life adventure, so he's in his mid-30s. And so he's got a nice, good, solid head on his shoulders, and he's very practical and very logical, and he's been a wonderful addition to our firm. We are also going to be looking for another litigator because we just have that much litigation work. So that is our current staffing and plan. We have one paralegal, one office assistant, Marissa. When you call and ask her how she's doing, she will tell you mostly wonderful. So some of our clients refer to her as mostly wonderful Marissa. And she brings her dog to work. So that's what we have going on in our office.
As we discussed, we don't know the questions to ask.
Sure.
And we don't really have a set of questions that, other than you've already filled out and answered the questions that we asked. But why should we consider a firm like yours, where you're strictly dealing with municipalities, and I would assume that that's a good thing, but does a firm that does more than that offer any benefit to us?
Most of our clients find it to be a good thing. In terms of, you were talking about easements for fire hydrants and whatnot, I spend a good portion of my time writing turnaround easements for public works departments or cistern easements for fire departments, things like that. So we're very experienced in that. Our clients tend to find that having lawyers who focus in this area of the law is a benefit, again, because we see the same problems over and over again, because we don't tend to have the conflicts, and because we understand that people who serve in their municipal governments have very many of the same character traits. First, you want to do good. You are here as volunteers. You're not getting paid the big bucks. You did not go to school to do this. While you are experts in fighting fires and saving lives, you are not experts in municipal law. That's our job. And we are here to help you do your job. So our clients find that to be a benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I came from a general practice firm before I came to this one. And you end up having a lot of exposure to a lot of different things, but that can lead to just sort of dipping a toe in the water to a lot of different aspects. I mean, we see it continuously where somebody comes in to present in front of a board or something, a lawyer from another firm, and it's just like, back of my head, I'm going, that's not the law. They think they're prepared, and you don't know what you don't know. But, from, I don't mean to toot your horn or anything, but I mean, lawyers at the Supreme Court all the time. We're there when the law is made, so we're aware of what needs to happen, what can happen, the risks that exist for you, your exposure. And we're used to all the different players in the municipal space as well. So, if there is an issue with another town or district or something, we likely know the lawyer. We can sort of bridge that gap pretty easily and kind of get to the bottom of things.
Okay, thank you. Any other, you got any questions you want to propose?
I don't know. What other towns do you represent around here?
Around here,
Yeah.
we have Tilton, we have Laconia, we have the Guilford Zoning Board, we have Belmont.
And not the town of Guilford, but just the zoning board?
The zoning board. And actually,
No,
I take that back. Scott Dunn told me that he considers us general counsel for everything except the planning board. It's been an evolving relationship. There were some rough spots for a little while there. So now we are general counsel for everything except the zoning board.
Except the planning board.
Planning board, sorry.
The zoning board
The zoning
loves
board loves me. I have my own nameplate at the zoning board. Do you have a list?
Yeah, sure.
Gunstock Acres Village District. What's this around here? Ashland, Bridgewater,
Hampton,
New Hampton for sure. Yeah. Feel free to call Terry Murphy, Kirk Beatty. I'm sure you all know Brent Lemire. I've worked with Brent Lemire since he was town administrator in Northwood. The New Hampton Village
He's
Precinct.
the executive director of the New Hampshire Association of Fire Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, formerly Manchester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Yep.
yes.
No, years ago.
yeah.
Yeah, Manchester. then-
Litchfield.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's also several clients that are on the list that are more of a one-off. This is sort of our general representation. So we do a lot of, as an example, utility abatement work. So in those, we end up taking on a lot of additional clients. So we're representing a larger pool as well.
All right, anything else we should know or ask?
We love what we do. We actually really do. I'm quite a geek when I start talking about how much I love what I do. And we're really good at it. And like I said, we're here to help you. So we want to do that. If you want us to help you, we'd love to help you. And if you want someone else to help you, we totally understand. And if you find yourself in a pinch with them and you need us in a special circumstance, we're available.
That's your address, 23 Beacon Street, Laconia.
25. Yes, we're in the Belknap Mill building.
Yep.
Yeah.
Given your clients and other issues, like, are you like in court all the time, do you think, or?
Court hasn't been crazy lately. I'm at meetings all the time.
Yeah.
We do probably a dozen town meetings a year. Yours comes at a very convenient time, so there wouldn't be a problem attending yours.
That's what everybody else said, too.
You know, I feel like I start doing warrant articles at the beginning of December and go straight through March 1st, so I can do them in my sleep. But yeah, I mean, Joe's in court a lot more than I am.
Obviously, it ebbs and flows. Really,
Sure.
I mean, we are municipal only, so tax abatements are a big thing. You know, I mean, it's just the yearly cycle that goes on this. But it can be anything and everything.
And the good thing about our practice is because it's small and because it's focused, we talk to each other. So if you're calling for Joe and he's not there because his wife's having a baby issues in January, Marissa will send you to me. Or if I'm not there, to Chris. Or if we're not there, to Naomi. Or she's got her cell phones. We're always reachable. We're very rarely, unless I'm on a cruise ship, which happens, we're very rarely not reachable.
Nothing wrong.
So, and we all know what's going on in each other's lives, in each other's cases. We're not one of those firms where Joe has his cases, I have my cases, and Amy has her cases. We share everything. Because we're not one of those private firms where we're paid based on what we're bringing in.
Yeah, there's no, I put me down as the primary point of contact because we have sort of one conduit. But yeah, I mean, the idea is our phone number is our phone number. You get Marissa every time you call. She divvies it out. If it's, hey, I got an issue with this firefighter, I need some employment stuff, she'll send you right over to Naomi right after the shoot. Like, we understand.
You're not calling us to chat.
Yeah, the way government has to work, I mean, you have to be responsive, you have to be all that stuff, so getting delayed because I'm in court for me to then okay it going to someone, it just doesn't serve me the best we can, so, yeah, that's our idea, it's timely response, and all of our clients are all of our clients, you know, we're not, it's not, I got the right side of the list.
Well, you must be doing something right, you're adding staff, so.
We're trying.
Trying, desperately trying, just like everybody.
Anything else?
No,
Sean?
Paul asked the question I had, so.
Kathy? You worked with Jay Whitelaw of our office, didn't you? No. Did she do some work for you guys? No? No. I seem to remember sometime ago Jay Whitelaw doing work for you, but maybe I'm just crazy.
All right, anything else? All right. Well, thank you so
Coming in.
much for
Let us
coming
know
in.
what we can do for you.
Certainly
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you. Excellent, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
We're
very
gonna go all
much.
the way around
You
again.
too.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Ellen.
Away from
All right, I'm gonna move on. Public comment.
She's quick. That's all I have to say.
Okay. All right, correspondence, do we have any
No
correspondence?
correspondence.
Okay. Building committee, Tilton Northfield, chief officer's recommendations. All right, so that document you have,
Is slightly amended from the one that I sent out. There's an additional paragraph due to some questions that that one of our commissioners had. So we added an additional paragraph and everybody reviewed it and then agreed with what was the content, and we've all signed it. We had a very productive meeting, probably 2.5 hours worth.
Oh, went through, yep.
Yeah. Thoroughly discussed the issue, and come to find out we're really all on the same page, but really where we want to go with this project and what we think is most beneficial for the fire district. And this is what we think the commissioners should put forward to the building committee.
I haven't picked up on the change yet.
It's one paragraph.
That one, okay.
Yeah.
Pete, when you get in, you just. Hi. Hi, guys.
How's your hand today?
Good.
Better?
That's very thorough, thank you. Questions?
No, it's better than the first.
Mm. I like it a lot. I'm sure we'll work through this. There are some spaces that would be needed, in addition to admin, down at Park Street for SBCA equipment.
SCBA, yep, that would be the station with the maintenance room and the compressor for the SCBA.
Would that be a separate room, or would that be a larger room that would also have some of the other?
The compressor is usually enclosed in its own room because it's noisy, but or our compressor is where the fill station is one, it's all one unit. It has to be against usually an outside wall, so. That's where it grabs the air from.
Those are the support spaces.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I don't have any questions. Obviously, I think, the concern will be, are we gonna be able to get enough parking down on Park Street?
I think it's something that we have to, if we give this to the engineers and architects, they know what we want to put there. They have to design something and then see what the parking looks like and see if there's room to make an appropriate amount of parking spaces for, like, if we have the training room there, we gotta make sure we have parking so that it's not just 7 parking spaces, we need something a lot more than that. So if we have a class there, that people can bring their cars. Or we can make them park in the DPW parking lot.
When you have training on Monday night, how many people are there?
6 to 9, probably average 7.
Yeah, and then plus the duty crew. Yeah, so 11 people.
And when you have a shift change, you're gonna have 8 firefighters,
Mm-hmm.
plus the office staff, potentially. Shift changes at 7, but.
Yeah.
So 8 plus 3 is 11. We need 4, yes, sorry. Courtney, yes. So 12 spaces at a minimum,
Just for staff.
just for staff.
All right. Any other thoughts or questions?
I think a key point,
Well, and it's probably need one more than that because handicap. Anything we build new has to have a handicap parking space that's dedicated.
Yeah, it's like a 1 to 10, depending on the town ordinance or
Right.
ratio of.
So I'm thinking at least one,
Yeah.
so
And the parking might get broken up into several different
yes.
employees over there.
That would be ideal. You don't really want your employee parking in the same area as customer parking. It's usually separated.
Is customer the right word?
That's how we did the PD, the shift, the duty personnel
They're
in
all
the back,
back.
and, public facing and to the street.
Ideally, in our situation, you'd actually want separate driveways. You don't want the public coming into the driveway if it's the same place where apparatus is the
Trying to
exit.
exit.
There should be a separation there. Clearly signed off, so, marked, so that. I know in other places where I've worked, people come up, don't know where to park, they park right in front of the ambulance door, And then they walk around the building to go in the front door, and the ambulance is trying to go on a call, and there's a vehicle parked right in front of it, so.
Where is the property line at Park Street, refresh my memory, with the highway department?
So if you're looking at the property, you know where the island is on the front right? The right corner of the island is basically the property line, and the left property line is the middle of the stream, which is where it goes over the culvert.
If you drive down there, you can see where the old pavement, new pavement. So where the new pavement, there, the old pavement, it's pretty.
Right, when I always pull in, I'm obviously pulling in on the highway department property, and
You and everybody else.
Yep.
Yep.
so if the town of Northfield ever sold that property off to make it or taxable,
Yeah, we wouldn't, yeah.
potentially wouldn't be able to do that. Okay.
So, if constructing a new fire station near that, you probably want to take that into account to make sure that you're not relying on access from another property to get onto your property or exit your property. And we do it now, but again, you want to take that into account going forward. But those are really maybe building committee.
So you've got 4 bays at Sanborn Road and 6 bays?
Well, I think Sanborn Road's a little bit more than that because you want to have an engine, 2 ambulances, the ladder in the future, a utility truck and a utility trailer. So whatever space is that, I would say it's 3 bays wide, and the front bays would probably be average apparatus depth. The back bays, we'd have to
Be short.
probably have a little shorter because of the vehicles being shorter.
I think one of the things we came up and it doesn't say bays in the
Right,
you know,
just listing the equipment.
you know, we're listing the equipment we want there. There's engineers, there's architects, there's building committees, there's a lot of people who are very smart and they can find ways to fit equipment. And we wanted to leave that kind of open for, we didn't want to say we need 11 bays. We said we want to fit this equipment in here. You know, and there might be, you know, for a guy who's built 100 fire stations, he might know how to fit that equipment better than I do, who's worked out of a place from 1867 his whole career.
And not too tight where you have things parked in front of the wrong thing constantly.
Yes.
Oh, hey, could you move this? Because right, you always have the attack pieces at the door ready to.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, one of the key takeaways that I had, and we discussed it, because like I said, we locked ourselves in that room for 3 hours and agreed we weren't coming out until we all decided, which was an easy thing to do. We were all basically on the same page. But one of my key points was the chief and I probably will never see this project completed. We'll both be gone by then. And I think it's important, and it's in that charge.
Gone by the means of not working for the...
Correct. Retire is the word. Retire is the word.
Not gone from the...
But, we discussed with Sean about him being a key player in the design and certainly involved because he'll see it complete. I probably won't, and the chief probably won't. It's going to be his baby, and I've learned over the years that without your involvement, it's real easy to blame it on the guy before you.
Right.
Yeah, I don't like this because the guy before me,
Bought that truck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or he's the one that made that so
Yep.
strong.
Right.
But if he has enrollment,
Yeah.
he's got to sell it and
Yep.
support it.
Yep.
And
Skin in the
I
game.
think it's key
Yeah.
that he plays an important role, and I think we left it open enough that if that building can be used or portions of it, no issue there. But I realize that there are constraints there
Right.
that may or may not be possible. But I mean, I
But
think,
you three were in alignment now.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah,
Okay.
Yes.
yeah.
Good. All right. I know you had an earlier write-up that sparked my interest too, but it was more Park Street heavy. But I think I think that's kind of, seems to be fused in here,
Yeah,
you know?
Yep.
As far as,
Well, and I really like the aspect of having admin down on Park Street.
well, I think it demonstrates that Sanborn Road will not have everything. We're not gonna build, or the plan would, or the mission, or the vision would not be to put everything there.
Right.
You know, it shows that things are being held back to try to make a adequate, and I think we've used that term, to have adequate up and running. How can we run the operation that presently, right? Engine, ambulance, okay, maybe, you know, has some room to flexibility, not just expansion. I think flexibility is a more important term because nobody can say what equipment has to live where in 5 years or 10 years or 15. Right.
That's why we see, whoever the chief is at the time is
Yeah,
gonna make those
is gonna have to
decisions.
move those pieces
But
around.
historically,
Yep.
you know, most of our business or most of our customers or most of our calls, you know, occur in the village area.
Right.
And it's good accessibility for all of the departments, and, you know, the main outlook for that is to be a substation.
Right, and to not get into the bays or the size of bays or anything in a new facility, I think the voters or taxpayers would just say, oh, we only put like 4 vehicles there. It's not immense. And they're not even gonna put the offices down there. Okay. Not gonna put the training room there. Okay. There's some, not corners cut, but some choices made to minimize, you know, the first phase. I think there's value in that.
Well, and
It
of
shows,
course,
it shows effort, it shows being conscious of the dollar.
and I think realistically, this project, the 3 phases, probably won't get complete for 5, 6, 7 years.
There's no timeline assigned, but it's a commitment to, hey, this is the kind of the overarching vision, and to pin a calendar to it today is,
Well, and I think 5 or 6 more years is gonna tell us or give us a better direction on
growth of the town's gonna.
what's
tell
gonna
the story.
happen to the
Yep.
call companies and that,
Yep.
you know, at that point. That, you know, it may take more full-time people.
Right.
Well, and that brings up in the bottom of the third main paragraph, where it's indicated that 8 additional firefighters would be needed to staff 2 additional personnel per shift. I guess the only thing I'm questioning is the word must.
May likely.
Well,
As compared to, you know, as when it's appropriate or
Would need to be.
as need arise.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
it would be, I think our thought was it is like if you build the station and then don't put anybody there, it doesn't really make any sense. It was, you know, if you're gonna build the station, you're committing to putting the personnel there, because we need the 4 people together. I think we've proven that
Yep.
so much in you know, in our opinion, the 4 people need to be down Park Street. That's where our, you know, where our target hazards are down here, our vulnerable citizens are down here, our non-sprinkled buildings are down here at Park Street in the village. You know, and if we want to do the 2-station design where we're providing much needed fire and EMS protection up at the eastern part of the town, we still need to keep the 4 guys down here. So if we build a station up there and don't hire the staff, it doesn't really make sense to go forward with the plan, I think was the.
Well, and I think another thing that these 2 brought to my attention, and it was a key point for me, you know, as we struggle to try to keep, you know, call people, we've had such a separation from the duty crews being down there. And guess what? If we head in this direction, the call department now just becomes such a, you know, you get to see the people. You know, we started a program 3 years ago, I don't know how many years ago, where the duty crew is required to attend the training with the call people. It's great, share experiences, share thoughts, but get to know these people, you know, and that's huge. If it becomes a better place to work, or a call person, you know, just feels much more a part of the whole program, where, you know, even now, you know, duty crew heads out on a call, you know, we're there by ourselves. And so that's gonna be huge, and hopefully keeping the call department as long as we can.
Well, I'd like to work towards a motion to use this as the charge for the building committee, unless there's any other comments or concerns you have about anything in there.
If I get the vibe of the building committee, I think they'll want a little more as far as the timetable of which, phase one by when, right? 2026 meeting. Shovel ready for phase one?
I think,
And any opportunities for phase two to be, the synergy of mobilization, or if there's anything that can, they'll unpack that with the architect, I guess, if there's things that can be done in a preparatory way.
Right. So you're thinking, if we're gonna ask them to have something ready for the 2026 district meeting, what part of this, or what,
Yeah.
how much of this are we
Because
looking to
they're
have
gonna say
presented?
final draft of phase one with a rough draft of phase two, or final draft of each. I think they're gonna want some quantitative timeline.
Something that puts it together as a package deal.
Yeah.
Right, well, I think, that's the key. I think if we're going to present this to the district and be able to get everybody's support, we're gonna have to show it as a whole project.
Yep.
So I don't think you can go to that meeting without having all the information. You're gonna need to know what, phase
A's
one's
gonna-
gonna look
right.
like and phase two's gonna look
You
like.
can only say what A's gonna cost now, you can't say what B's gonna cost in 5 years.
Well, and is it gonna be, is it gonna be 5 years, or is it gonna
Or
be
6 or 8.
2 years,
yeah.
or is it gonna be?
Right. Those are the nuts and bolts that I think are gonna come back to us for clarification.
Just a side note, though, during our discussions, we did have a discussion about possible funding, modifications to the apparatus and equipment fund, but we believe that fund, although not sure what the amount would be yet, does produce enough revenue to participate in possibly paying for a station. Now, what that number is, that's gotta be looked at, the capital plan's gotta be reviewed.
Right.
But, this is something years ago that, once we got into the EMS business, it changed, the department. And, we knew that it would grow, and the funding for it caused many changes within the department. Not most of them, but a great deal of that being, the financial cost of the whole thing. And, that money could possibly be used. I mean, it's kind of neat to walk through our stations and realize if we wear it, ride in it, or use it, other than the stations, it's never been paid for by taxpayers' dollars, anything we have. And I'm kind of proud of that.
Oh, and obviously that would be, that financial part of it would have to be part of that.
Absolutely. And that would be when it comes time to, you finally get some numbers.
We are one of the luckiest towns. I mean, it's the two towns together, the money does not go back to them. All that money is ours, where other towns,
Sure.
they can use it any way they want.
Well, but I think we're getting to a point,
Yeah.
where that money is significant. The
It
chief's
is.
got us in a good position with some new equipment.
It is.
That possibly, it could be used to help fund something like
And
this.
it should be, it should be.
I don't have any thoughts on how to what would be a realistic and reasonable timing that would help or hurt us to get support, to get it passed.
I think if the commissioners agree generally on this, timing of, I know we want to bring this project in the 2026 district meeting. And I don't think that should be a problem, given that it's got like a year and change from now. The details of how this project would span out over the course of time is probably something that we're gonna have to rely on other people to tell us the information. You know, Lorero will have to say, well, it's gonna take this long to do this, and this long to do this, and this long to do this. And given that you're this step and this step and this step, we have to do this then and that then. And at the end, you know really where you are. I don't think any one of us can codify that right now.
Right.
Well, and I don't think we can, you know, one of the other thoughts was, you know, paying for it. And it's like, well, you can't wait until phase one is paid for to start phase two, because
Right.
it's gonna be a long period of time.
With the overlap, yeah.
You know, so using that as a reason for picking a timeline, I don't think is valid.
I think you suggested that the commissioners appoint a finance committee
Yes.
and not leave it up to the building committee. The building committee's gotta deal with this, and then trying to put it on the building committee to come up with all the financing
Mm.
ideas and stuff like that is
Right.
should be a separate committee to help move the project along, because they can work in conjunction during the same timeline, and whereas the building committee's like be concentrating on this, finance committee can concentrate on the finances of how we're gonna come about paying for this.
So I think we've got several decisions to make. One is, we're gonna give this to the, are we okay with giving this to the building committee? Are we in agreement that we wanna have Sean join the building committee, which is a recommendation in there, which I think we should do.
I agree with that.
That we want to move forward with coming up with a finance committee, and then we don't have to do that today, but we'll need to do that soon, but also a marketing group, because I think the makeup currently of the building committee is more than capable of dealing with Lorero and buildings. And we're relying on Lorero a little bit to help us with the marketing, but I think we need to come up with some additional townspeople that are more marketing savvy to help us with that.
I'm not in the marketing business.
So anyway,
What about financing?
again, we don't have to make all
Just
those
ran a
decisions
10 minute.
tonight, but,
Right, there's pieces of the puzzle.
right, which again, we can provide the building committee with follow-up as we maybe get their input on some of these points and how the rollout might work.
Yep.
So I would, thank the chief and the deputy chiefs for putting this together, because I think it's very well done.
I would agree. And for anybody to say, well, why Sanborn Road is, I can tell you, shortage of available building lots and this type of thing.
All right,
Can't beat the price.
I'm on the committee, so I'd prefer somebody else make the motion to accept this recommendation and present.
It's everything you always wanted, Paul. It's a two-town plan.
I make a motion, we accept the recommendations.
I second that.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, can we send this out to the building committee?
Absolutely.
And I'll call Paul and let them know to expect it.
They'll have it tomorrow.
Along those lines, Paul had a request that there was a firefighter that was on the building committee, and Matthew Ozier, who was the one that went to school, he and I have had conversation, and he has agreed to re-engage
Oh, good.
if they'll have him with the building committee.
Good. Thank you.
Just for me, can you clarify my role on the building committee? Am I just
I would say advisory, non-voting, because that's kind of how we, I don't know. I would
The
say-
same as the chief.
Okay.
It's not a PD, it worked really well.
Mhm.
It wasn't a vote, it was, but the presence and the knowledge and everything was,
Sorry
that's
we didn't
that's an
make that
important
clear.
piece.
No, I just, thank you very much. I knew somebody was gonna ask, and I wasn't.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about on this? Because I'll add those other things to the agenda for next time. But I'd like to move on if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Thank you very much.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Even though I haven't read it. Thank you.
If you don't mind me showing it. I want it back because that's the original.
That's okay.
Oh, I can give her a copy.
All right, chief's report.
All right, I sent the chief's report out to you folks at the end of last week. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
I guess just, I'm sorry, I jumped right in there. Mine were just the ambulance mutual aid, and I assume some of that was due to our ambulance being in for repairs.
Yes.
Yes.
It's still on,
It's
that problem is still ongoing.
It's ongoing. We're using it currently, but the light is still on. And we have to get that rectified one way or the other. But that's why those are what they are.
And if we extrapolate the revenue for the ambulance, the total for the year should be a little over 600,000.
Yes,
How much was it last year?
572.
So was the ambulance in the shop or back out?
It's back out, but the light's on. Again, it was
doesn't-
in the
it
shop
doesn't-
all last week.
It doesn't appear to be causing any issues with the ambulance.
Yeah.
Like, other than the lights on.
And it won't passively regen like on the highway. We actually have to stop, put it in high idle,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work. For some reason, I don't understand
It
that.
doesn't get the filter down to zero.
Deputy Robinson could probably explain that better than me, but it doesn't work like it's supposed to, because
Yeah.
when you're driving down the highway, it's supposed to regen. With the check engine light on, it won't regen when you're driving down the highway.
And if it gets too clogged, you can't even force a regen.
Yeah,
Right.
and we've gone to,
It'll reject it.
we've only gone to limp mode once, that I recall. Don't hold me to that number, but,
That's all I recall.
But we do want to avoid having to replace that, because that's expensive.
It is.
That ambulance has what, 40,000 miles on it?
no, this is the old ambulance.
So-
This one has about 109,
109, 110.
110, somewhere around there.
But still. EMS calls were down 63%.
62% of our call volume for the month.
What, they have gone up near 70.
Yep, and some of them have been over 70, but it's a month-to-month thing. At the end of the year, I'll do a tabulation of really where our percentage was for the year. I expect it to be in the high 60s.
The new ambulance coming in early 2026, that's not still on schedule.
Yes, it is.
When do you need to start ordering the equipment for it?
Probably sometime next year, depending upon the leads, like the radios, the vehicular repeater. I have to check on their lead time. So right now, I'm basically price watching. If they're going to have a price increase, I'll go buy it before the price increases because we've only budgeted so much for it. And that happened last year. The monitors were going up a lot, so we bought the monitor. So and some of the other stuff, the Zoll stuff, that was all going up a lot. So we bought that. The Motorola stuff, the Pyramid stuff, all that kind of stuff. I'm watching.
Oh, I had this question, I was out on the website. When does the old URL stop forwarding? A year from now?
The new URL hasn't started yet, so
I thought it was working now.
no.
All right, never mind.
Yeah, we got to a certain point, and there were difficulties in transferring our data to the new format because it had certain portions of it had to be done manually, and it was just getting too convoluted. So we said, let's put it on the beginning of next year and have Mainstay take the lead in the transition. And so that's what's going to happen.
So they get survey markers out in the parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
and now what?
The town hasn't gone back to me yet as to a time frame as when they're going to put the new markings in. When I spoke to Scott last week, he said, yeah, they're still working on it.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
Is it their goal to kind of have it wrapped up before plowing?
Yes,
Yeah,
that would be
it's
great.
Kind of a
I saw surveys out there again today,
yeah.
so.
I don't, they're also doing something on Main Street too,
Yeah.
so I don't know if it's the
I don't know if
same.
it's the same
survey
group or
crew or
what.
not.
I don't know how they, did they get these guys to do this thing because they're doing that thing? I don't know. So I can add one thing that I'm currently working on. We got a new location for a cistern in Tilton and on Caleb Hill Road, case 248, 242, one of those numbers. I already talked to the town. I was at the select board meeting last week, discussed it there. They're all in favor of moving forward with it. And so I'll get our contractor to look at it to see what we need to do to get going on that project. It's a good location for a cistern. There's no water available, sources available to us from a mile or so away.
How far up?
So if you go up Caleb Hill Road with fence to the right, Fort Fence to the left, and on that area on the left, there's a subdivision that was approved in 2005, I think. And at the time, subdivisions required to either you have to sprinkle the house or provide a water supply. They built two houses within the subdivision. Both those houses have sprinkler systems in them. And then somewhere there was when they pulled the permit for the third house in the subdivision, the communication breakdown somewhere. They got so far in the project of building it that to put a sprinkler system in it would be, you'd have to take half the building apart, all the sheetrock down and all that kind of stuff. So I approached them and said, well, would you be opposed to us putting a cistern at the end of your driveway? And they were not. They're in favor of it. They're going to give us the easement for it. And I think that's actually a win-win for us. It's a win for the community, the neighborhood, and we have the funds to do that.
So who's providing that? The developer?
The property owner is providing us the land to put the cistern on,
Okay.
and granting us an easement in perpetuity
Yeah.
to use that for that purpose.
Yeah. And that's Caleb Hill,
Yeah.
not Lancaster.
Lancaster. That project, we talked about it today.
Did you get the email I sent right before we came here? I
Yes,
sent you an email.
yeah. So I guess our contract is ready to start moving forward on that, and just have to get
Is
a
that
couple
Lan-
documents signed and send a letter off to
Lancaster or
DOT.
Sanborn Road?
Lancaster. Sanborn
It's
Road, excuse me.
right around the
Sanborn
corner.
Road.
Yeah, the one on the
Near
corner.
the corner of Lancaster.
Yeah.
So that
That'd
looks
be
like
good.
it's going forward.
And that's a cistern or a dry hydrant?
That's a dry hydrant,
It'll be a wet hydrant.
yes.
Yeah, it's valve on the ground, kind of.
Yeah.
The cistern will be great in Caleb Hill Road. I don't know if you go up Caleb Hill much, but we used to have a dry hydrant on the left. It was before we used to get easements for property use. The house sold a couple times, and now the current owner has removed our permission to use that as a source, water supply source. So it really wasn't far enough out on Caleb Hill anyway, so now you have to go all the way back to the Veterans Home. The one across from Mountain View Drive is really the last hydrant there. They are putting a new hydrant up on Clark Road, but I don't know when that's occurring. So this is really getting us a good water source out on that end of town where we have no water source.
Yeah.
It's going to be great for that whole side of the town, up March Road, even up to almost to School Street. It's going to be it should be good.
Is that 30,000 gallons?
30.
Yes.
Well, I
Well, 30 minimum
yeah.
is the minimum size.
So it's usually 4 7,500 gallon tanks is when they do
Did they put a cistern in on School Street in that new development?
No, they
No,
did.
They have sprinklers.
They did a 13D. It's called a 13D system, a 13 dwelling system. It's not a sprinkler system like you would think of as in a new commercial building. It's not there to put the fire out. A 13D system is only there to provide an exit path longer for the people in the. Doesn't really put the fire out. And without getting too deep into it, They don't really provide the same service that a cistern does. A cistern there for us to put the fire out. The 13D system is there to get people out of the building, which is the same use as a fire alarm system. So they're really, in my opinion, they're not really compatible. In other people's opinions, it's a debate that goes on in the fire service a lot.
Yeah.
And so in my opinion, a cistern is a much better use of if you're going to give a set of money aside, a cistern is a much better use of that. So it allows us to fight fire in all the buildings and suppress fire, where the fire alarms get the people out of the building.
So on School Street, your last hydrant is just up there by Jackson's farm, just past Colby Road.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not really
but that
a
would
usable.
use-
The last usable fire hydrant is really the one just past Pillsbury. There is one, that one up there, but
That's not
I probably wouldn't. If we had a fire up there, the last, I'd probably use the one right, and you go past Pillsbury, then the next one on the left. There is one more up there that might be okay, but I think we have that dry hydrant on School Street that would be a better option than the hydrant up by the farm. Just as,
The dry hydrant at the
At the school,
yeah,
school pump?
yeah.
yeah,
And then you don't have anything up past that,
mm-mm,
all the way to Sanford.
all the way to Sanberton. And Sanberton doesn't have anything till up around the corner, I believe. I don't think they have anything on Gulf Road. I don't believe they do. Yeah, you have to go up past their fire station, then the pond on the right. Yeah.
So, folks, once this is installed and certified, whoever lives within 1,000 feet of that will see a reflection in their ISO rating, which some insurance companies use for their insurance rates on their house. Some insurance companies don't. They don't tell you who does and who doesn't.
I think I'm too far down in Lancaster. Because there used
You
to
want
be
to put a
one.
cistern in your front yard?
There used to be one
Around 70-something Lancaster Hill.
Yeah, that
across
was a
from
dry
Dunlop. Yeah.
And I believe that same thing occurred. I'm not sure.
The new
Yeah.
owners
It-
removed the permission. And
Yeah,
didn't have
it
easement.
broke something. We had to do maintenance on it, and they wouldn't allow us to. So that's why we have the utility easements for everything going forward. So we can't. Their permission cannot be taken away. Doesn't make sense.
And it goes
I
from
don't know you
owner
could
to
fit one
owner.
in my front yard,
We fit one anywhere. Maybe.
but they managed to fit the leach field in the front. All right, anything else on the chief's report?
Just one comment he made on hydrant training. Having attended one of the trainings that was done,
That's right, you had that.
Yep.
Yes, we did flow a significant amount of water on the various trainings, and John Chase was there, you know, to somewhat keep an eye on us, but also answer several questions that, you know, we had as firefighters about the system. I thought it was an awesome training. It's good to have that back again.
Good, good.
I think he learned just as much as we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good.
And where did you do that training
Riverside.
Yes,
Riverside Business Park, FTM Plastics, basically.
It-
That cul-de-sac.
we get plenty of pressure
And the water.
there, and it doesn't stir the system up too much by being so close to the pumps, or to the wells.
We had 5 trainings. We each shifted the training and then the call company did the training, so we did five occurrences.
Thank you. All right, old business. Trying to get the Homeland Security radio grant.
Yes.
So we need to accept that and authorize the chief to sign the paperwork.
Yes. So we
Need
need
a
that in the
motion.
form of a motion.
I'll make a motion, we accept $89,950 for Homeland Security radio grant.
Second.
And authorize the chief to sign it.
All right, so we have a motion that's been made and seconded. Is there any additional discussion on that? Other than we waiting a long time.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, choose a law firm. I want to put that off till next meeting.
Do you have any early thoughts?
I do. But I want to work up a updated spreadsheet
Okay.
with what the hourly rates are, where they're physically located, because obviously anytime they come, we're going to be paying for travel time. And then we can chat about it at the next meeting.
Fine.
Do you have any early thoughts on it?
Well, although the most recent visitors, well, I guess I'd work back with this. It'd be great to hire these guys, but if we're gonna get into something with land stuff with Tilton, I kind of
We'd be
hire
using
you, then
somebody else.
we'd have to unhire them. That's one. So I was like, do we have a primary and a secondary, or those are the kinds of things. I'm like, do we?
Well, and I had the same thought about one of the other groups, because they represent Northfield.
Yeah.
So if you ever had anything
Yeah.
between the two towns, you've got that issue.
And it seemed as if everybody was understood the needs for flexibility and referral out and in. And so I guess that's one spoke of the wheel I want to visit if we do summarize and you're going to recap everything.
Yes.
You know,
Maybe on that.
we're going to have interaction with the town of Tilton on the property.
Yeah.
That's for sure, on Sanborn Road, almost in the shorter term, it's with Center Street and all that stuff.
Right.
That's one, and then
But is that a good thing?
well, they may not
They
be able to hire
represent-
them for us if they already work for
us or
Tilton.
them.
Okay. I
So
get
that,
it.
yeah, we'd hire them and then it's well we work for Tilton, so they not bad, but we. And, the other one that stands out was it DTC that works for Northfield.
I forget,
I
it's
forget
the
the
first
name.
group we interviewed after, first we interviewed
After
Paul,
Paul.
and then we interviewed Westcott.
Yeah.
Then the group after that, I forget the name off the
Yeah.
top of my head, was the Northfield's
Yeah,
Town
okay.
Council. Then the one we had last month,
DTC.
DTC.
Yeah.
And then these folks who represent Tilton, amongst others.
Yeah.
They all seem to represent a lot of people.
Right. Okay.
Okay, anything else on that?
No.
All right, can we move on to budget? So at the meeting last week, we,
Start on page
I
4,
don't think
please.
so, yeah.
okay. So you were able to calculate out the
Yes,
cost.
yes. The only difference is that the chief increased the amount of the call salary
line?
Yes, my request for call salaries. So as we're getting towards the end of the year, looking at where we are, what we have left in the budget, and where I project we're gonna fall. And I used a number of factors to come out with that, to make sure I was gonna be close. We budgeted $50,000 this year for call salaries. If it falls the way I think it's gonna fall, we're gonna come up with $53,560, which overexpending that line by over $3,500. Moving that forward, I put in my thing that the call folks are gonna get another $1 an hour raise. So extrapolating that 53,000 forward with that $1 an hour raise, it brings it to 55.5. Plus, we're gonna hire 3 brand new call firefighters starting on January 1st. Wanted to hire them sooner, but we can't because I'm already expecting to be a deficit on that line, and our budget is so tight, I don't have any place else to bring it. So those folks are gonna start on January 1st instead of now. When you hire 3 firefighters, or any of the firefighters, they have to go through training. So there's gonna be a cost to train those folks of $3,378. And then if those 3 firefighters go on the average number of hours or calls that the rest of our firefighters do, that'll increase the hours by another $10,000. And when I extrapolate that all the way out to the end, my request comes out to $69,045 on the call line. I mean, it's a shame that it's good, bad. I mean, our call folks, call company personnel
That makes sense.
are gonna exceed what we thought they were.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. The bad thing is I got 3 folks that want to become call members that I can't afford to put them on right now.
Right.
They don't have any experience whatsoever.
So one of them is a retired firefighter out of Mass, 32 years experience. He was a shift commander, very experienced. So he could go to work right away. I can't put him on the call company and then tell somebody else, I don't want you to come anymore because this guy's got more experience. That's not right. So he's going to have to wait till January. The other 2 have some experience, but one in particular wants to become a career firefighter. And we've done a good job of creating career firefighters from our call company. And so we end up, bringing them in, getting them all trained up, and a lot of times they go somewhere else, but sometimes we get to keep them. We have quite a few members of our current department who started out as call firefighters here. And so even if we lose the guy, it's not a bad thing. We've done a good thing for another department.
Yeah.
But chances are, maybe 5 or 6 years down the road from now, we're going to be looking to expand our career side anyways. And maybe the timeline for him would be in that ballpark. I don't know. It seems like a long time away. Being a young kid, I would want something sooner than that.
Right.
But at the same time,
What's it cost now to send them to get what they have to be to become a call firefighter?
well, there's different grants and things out there. To be a call firefighter, you don't have to have anything. But to be a certified firefighter, which is what we require for you to be able to do actual firefighting duties, you have to get at least firefighter 1. That's nearly 200 hours of training, not counting the training that we have here for these folks.
To me, you put somebody on there, you spend all that, say it's $1,000, you spend $1,000 on them to send them all training and stuff, then all of a sudden they up and leave. I didn't know if there was a way we could, I know you can't force them to stay, but there again, like paramedics, if we send them to school, they're obligated to us for 5 years, or they pay back what. I'm just wondering if we ought to set up a program like that.
Most of the costs for the training, especially a call member, are hourly wage costs. They're not
It's not tuition
The
costs.
tuition cost to get a firefighter 1, firefighter 2, EMT basic.
Less than $1,000.
Yeah, it's not a tremendous amount of money. It's the hourly wage cost.
But I mean, so that you're aware of it, Paul, we look at each candidate, we look at their potential, their probationary, we evaluate their first year, do they show promise? We watch them very closely before we make investments.
Okay.
Yeah, the one gentleman who wants to be a full-time firefighter, I think he's gonna be good. I've already told him that, you know, he needs to come and show commitment before we're gonna send him to class.
Right.
He doesn't come in and 3 weeks later we send him to the fire academy and he does the $200 class. He can do that if he'd like to, and we'll sponsor him, but we're not gonna pay his wages while he does that. He comes, he's gotta come, show a commitment, 6 to 9 months, show us he wants to be here, show us he's gonna come to trainings, and then we'll make that commitment for him. Yeah, we wouldn't, I'm sorry, I guess, Deputy, we wouldn't pay that right away. We wouldn't send that to him. If he wanted to do that, that's good, he can do it on his own, but we're not gonna sponsor the hourly wage portion of that. Yeah.
And that's always mentioned in their interview also.
All right, any other questions on the,
The wages?
wages and salaries?
I think in our last meeting, we talked about it being a step, and then in the email, it came across that it was a COLA, so. What are we voting on, and what's the difference?
Well, I thought we were voting on a 3% increase.
Yes, when you said it, you said that the step 1 was going to go to 25.75. That would be a COLA that would start it would be 3% on step 1, and then it works down the line.
But do we use the terms interchangeably? 'Cause
No, a
we don't.
step is different than a COLA.
That's what I'm saying, is the language we used around the table at the last meeting was all step, and then the email that came out was COLA. So what did you propose to us at a 2.5?
That was a
or
step.
That's a step.
Yeah.
A COLA a step is set at 2.5%.
Right,
And we have a whole wage scale that shows where everybody lines up and all that kind of stuff. And you get a step is basically 2.5%.
right.
A COLA is something other than a step, cost of living adjustment.
Which we didn't talk about.
But if you called it 3%, then it's not a step. We would call it a COLA because that's really what it is.
For the sake of a 0.5%.
Yes.
I would have to redo the whole spreadsheet to input,
Because all
to
your
change it
steps
from
are
2.5,
set for 2.5.
are set for
Yeah.
2.5.
Oh, okay.
Whereas if the
So,
way you were talking was more like a COLA.
Oh,
Well,
I
we
was
would
just
start
trying
at
to
the
take
beginning
his,
and-
I was just trying to take the 2.5 step to a 3, and it doesn't work that way.
well, if we do,
Well, we can do that.
if you want to do that, we can do that, and we can adjust the pay and wage scale to do that. I think this year it wouldn't make a difference
would have
one way or the other, but.
You'd have to do a 2.5% step and then a 0.5% COLA.
No,
No.
I would
Oh, you-
change the steps to 3%.
3%.
You know, back off, leave the first step at the 3%.
Yeah,
And then everything else I would just go through, and instead of having it 2.5% between the steps, it would be 3%. And everybody would move up a step.
right. I just want to be clear as to what we talked about versus.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, which way do they really
Yeah.
want me to go?
So
So,
the
was
number
your
here
intent?
is a 3%
what was your intent?
3% across for everybody.
Okay, so you wanted the 3% step.
I think that's what we were talking about.
Well, how does that differ from a 3% COLA?
That's what I don't understand.
The 3% applies to step 1 only. And then as it goes down through,
It's still math is math.
yes, but the first step is 2.5%, and then as it goes down through, the math is math. It doesn't always work out to 3% for every step.
Can I ask a a stupid question?
There's
Yes.
no stupid questions.
What's the bottom line if you do a 3% versus a 2.5% step? What's the bottom line number?
That's what we were trying to figure out.
I thought
that's what we
that's
thought
what
we were
was
gonna-
calculated. You did a 3%, right?
COLA, yes,
Yeah,
on the
COLA.
first step, only.
Okay, so maybe I don't understand.
And every, well, what happened is the 3% was done on step one. Everybody, it was that,
It's a formula.
it's a formula, and
It
it all
starts
works
on,
out.
like, the top left-hand corner of the spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's
it
a
goes
formula
across.
right here that goes all the way through. So you change this number to add a 3%, it populates the rest of the thing, and that's
Right.
how you know what everybody else is
Right.
doing.
Right.
Nobody got, their step remained the same. It got that increase simply because the first step changed
Yep.
by 3%.
So everybody was affected.
Everybody was
Yeah,
affected.
and I think that was my goal, and to change the hiring, the base rate.
Right,
That was what I was trying
That's
to.
exactly what
and
you.
that's what I did,
That's
is I
what's reflected
accomplished the
on
base
this.
rate.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Any other questions? So that works out to that total wages and salaries section with the call sign firefighters, overtime holiday, that's about 6% increase, it looks like. Maybe just a stitch over 6%. Let's see.
Yes.
Yeah, 6.5.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's because the amount of the increase of the coal company. It kicked it up just a little bit more, but it was needed.
And then Social Security, Medicare and retirement.
Those are
Another $50,000.
previous page, and those are a direct result of the line items on page 4.
Why would retirement be less than last year?
Last year was a 53-week pay
Yeah.
period.
We're the
This week's
52.
only 52 this year.
And
And,
the salaries don't go into effect until about a quarter of the year is through.
right,
Oh,
So,
that's right. Okay.
you know, it's,
Yeah, it's only 9 months.
right.
Thank you. So we need to approve the numbers there?
Yes.
Any further discussion on salaries and wages? Paul's already looked ahead to the bottom line.
Need a motion and a second.
We ready to move forward on this, or do you want talk about the whole thing in total.
Well, call thing seems like a pretty big jump, but I understand the narrative behind it. This time around, I mean, that's one that, you know, budget committee we've struggled with over the years. To try to have something in there. Not have too much, but you never really know.
Right.
So, that being said, I will make a motion to approve the 4221, the amount of $2,098,616.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
I just let it go.
All right, carries.
No, budget committee. Bring it to the budget committee, Paul. See what happens.
Now back to
Page 2?
page 2.
So those are calculated numbers based on what we just voted.
Yes, they are.
All right.
Well, based on that, I make a motion we approve line 220 for Social Security in the amount of $12,583.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Paul? All those opposed?
Yeah, just let it go. For now.
All right.
Make a motion we approve line 225 for Medicare in the amount of $30,430.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion we approve line 230 for retirement in the amount of $577,150.
All right, I'll second that. Any discussion? All right, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
So that's the 3%, but the education part of it has been backed up this year.
When was the last Commissioners' Budget Committee meeting?
That was
Not not ours.
the commissioners.
Oh.
Yeah,
The budget
the Budget Committee.
That was on the 6th, and then they're meeting again on the 18th.
So, Paul, how did that go?
They had some questions. They had some questions on the shed house motor and tower. The tower's there. Why wasn't that taken out of the tower fund? And the other thing that somebody was concerned with is the training.
The dental.
Huh?
They questioned the dental.
On the dental, yeah. They feel as though they ought to pay at least 12, well, what will they pay, take out 12%, is it? 12%?
Well, then, I think that was a question, not that everybody felt that way. I
Yeah.
think it was a question, that the commissioners intend to pay 100% of the dental, like most of the departments around here that do, or did they want the employees to contribute 12% similar to what they do with their health plan?
Yeah, with the insurance.
And we talked about that.
So they were questioning it, that's all.
From my perspective, my intent was that we pick up the dental better because of the whole thing happening with the deductibles on the other plan. And I know that doesn't affect everybody, but it was one swirling thought that I had.
Well, I think we shared that.
Yeah, and like, how do we address, okay, this deductible situation is, impacts some folks, and here's something that those that want to participate in this, we want to make this available and try to,
And at 12%, or if it was 10%, it'd be $3,000, and that's about what that, you know, deductible costs us some years. Some years it's less, some years it's
Yeah.
more. So, I think that's a valid,
A wash.
you know,
Yeah.
thought process.
but for some, hopefully for most, but, you know, again, I'm not gonna drill down the list of who's in what plan and do, you know, who's, yeah, all right, it's not, we just have an overarching, fair, and consistent offer of compensation.
The other big thing they brought up was, somebody brought up, was the training.
They reduced it.
Huh?
They reduced it.
Yes, on the training line, which on page 4, they looked at all the courses that I was, who I was sending to and from like that, and they shaved about $7,000 out of it. Didn't really give a reason. I think they were just trying to cut.
Well, was it a series of classes? Because it's not a round number.
Yes, there were, I don't have that spreadsheet with me, the training spreadsheet, but all the required training for like paramedic and RSI and all that stuff, they stayed in there. And then the classes that I wanted to send some of my officers to for succession training, you know, leadership, finance, all that kind of stuff. They kept that in, but most of the other stuff they cut out.
Yeah. You checked off the ones that they were
Yeah.
okay with.
These are all the ones that are required.
No, the other way around.
Or is it the top ones?
The bottom ones are the
Bottom ones
required
required.
ones.
Oh, the bottom ones, okay, the top ones are,
So, I think they'll probably end up discussing that again.
So when is their next meeting?
Monday, next
Monday.
Monday.
and I think one of the biggest things is because you're gonna look at it, when somebody goes to training, we pay them to go to training, whether it's overtime or not. It might be overtime, they're getting time and a half doing that, plus you're bringing in somebody else to cover their
Double
shift,
shift.
which is
Time and a half.
time and a half. So you're paying.
Well, yeah, if you're paying somebody straight time to go, and you're taking them off their shift, we do have to compensate them in that position. Not the person at school, but the person we're filling in is going to get time and a half. If they're doing it in a time frame where they don't have to miss a shift, it's just salaries like regular. If the person going to training is in training longer than what his normal work week would be, then there is some overtime involved there at that point in time. But that really shouldn't be the point here. What we're trying to do is train our subordinates to become leaders and to take hold of this organization as everybody moves up and beyond. And they kept those classes in, but they didn't keep like some of the other stuff in that, you know, like some of the, you know, seminars for the regular firefighters that go to learn firefighting, you know, skills and theories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the important things, even Captain Gilman stated that the other day, one of the things that helps us attract and keep some of our firefighters is that we do offer, we do have a good training program. And
Several of them have said that to me over the past couple of years. How they value the training.
Well, last year, or this year, things were thinned out to make it all, everything else happen, so. Can't do that too many years in a row. And not, maintain that culture and that reputation.
So with all those numbers in there, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna give an example. Several years ago, again, our budget was running very, very tight. And I knew it in the middle of the year. One of the first years I was here. And looking at it, my call salary line was not gonna make it by any shot. And so I had to kind of massage of how call people could come in
Right.
after that. That kind of killed their incentive to coming in, and it took like maybe 3 years to get that, okay, we can come back in.
Yeah.
So we lost, by, saving $20,000 it cost us
In goodwill
in
or
goodwill
culture.
and culture
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and,
Morale.
yeah. So I don't want to do that again. It's a different story, but the theme is the same.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's good to have call people because it's, number one, it's, you got the extra hands. Not only that, the cost is very minimum because you're not paying any, well, you're not paying for benefits that, and then again, you get all, all them people who like, enjoy doing it, helping out the community, so, and the pay is very little.
What are we anticipating for warrant articles that are going to be paid for by taxation?
The operating budget.
Right.
Are you going to want to put in $100,000 to go into the land and building fund? That will come up, that will go into taxation. You did that last year.
Been doing that pretty
Yeah,
much every year.
Pretty much.
And the only other big one, well, it's not even that big, is the health insurance
The health insurance,
deductible
and that's-
reimbursement.
That comes out
That's,
of the
yeah,
unassigned fund balance.
that's not gonna be much anyways.
And then apparatus and equipment fund, warrant article.
Right,
Yeah, but so basically, it's just another $100,000.
basically, yes.
The only other thing that may come into effect is that when we signed our contract with Lorero, it was for a one-station design. And if we give that to, I don't know what what their answer is, but is there enough money left in that line item to cover us till next April? And I won't have that discussion with Lorero until, well, I can call them tomorrow, because if this is what the building committee's gonna get, I can give them this and say, do we have enough money in our contracted amount to get us there?
And do we need to add anything to the dry hydrant cistern expendable trust fund?
Yep, that may be another one.
You put $4,000 in.
No, that's for repairs and maintenance,
Repairs?
for new ones,
Yeah,
for new ones.
Okay. How much money's in that account now?
150 plus maybe.
How much are those two hydrant,
Well, the one on
the wet hydrant and the cistern? What
the
is it?
cistern, so I don't know what that's gonna cost yet, because I have to have our contractor look at it and see how much site work needs to be done. And then we have to buy the cistern to, designed and engineered to fit that site, however the contractor, whether it's gonna be a rectangle or a square or an L shape, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm gonna guess 70,000.
it's $177,684.
The dry hydrant on Sanborn Road. I think we bought most of the parts for that already, so it's just contractor work. It's gonna be a fairly expensive pond, the way that has to go in, because the pond is up high and it's got, you gotta drain it, dig a ditch down to the road, put a piping and stuff like that, and then properly fill it back, all that stuff in, and then refill it. Because it's not a spring fed, that I'm aware of.
I don't know where the water comes from up there.
Yeah, it doesn't have an obvious overflow out.
No. Because
It does have an overflow, but it's, where, if it overflowed, it's way down. It goes,
Does it
follows,
go around the other side of the house?
no, it comes
Is this a little
down,
creek?
it goes down to the creek,
is it the creek that goes in between Abbott's property and the?
yes.
Is it
Goes
the
that way.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Goes, there must be a culvert that goes under the street, then it butts through, what was Pixie's father's name? That was the,
David,
yeah, that went through his property, probably under the culvert, across the street to Roger Abbott's property there. That would be my guess. I don't know for
And
sure.
there is a swale between the house and the hillside
Yeah,
that runs towards town,
Okay, there is.
across the road, yeah. And it's neither here nor there. All right, 170,000. Well, we're at a 5.1% increase on the budget we just approved, which is $182,000 more than last year's. I don't know if we feel like we want to revisit any of this. Because if you add that other 100,000 in for land and building, some math on that worked out too. You're gonna be asking for a 7.5% increase.
this, the
Didn't we
way
do
the
land and building?
spreadsheet is right now, it just reflects the operating budget.
Yeah.
I mean, we had it before where it reflected.
No, I'm just thinking aloud.
Yep.
I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, or,
You know what,
A
well,
big chunk of it was costs, insurance costs and things, it just kind of priced us to where we're at.
Some of the increases you have no control over.
Right.
and for the warrant articles, we'll have those prepared for you for next week's meeting. And, we'll have them all drafted, and then you guys can and then vote whether you want to include them or not.
okay.
Trying to get everything done before Paul goes on vacation.
All right. Any other discussion on the budget right now?
Well, what was the other, there was something the budget committee had questions and we didn't address them all. So, well, there was something about the tower stuff, but that was because there wasn't gonna be enough money in the tower
That's
fund to
correct.
pay,
Yeah.
to fulfill the original
Well, they want
intent.
to know why that weren't in there in the beginning instead of,
Yeah, we tried to pay for those things
Yeah.
and then realized the fund needs to also offset the tax rate.
Right.
So they're aware. Okay.
Was there anything else there, Paul, that you wanted to, we need to
no,
clarify?
that was about it.
All right, should we move on? New business, proposed change in electrical providers.
So, you asked us to look into, we got a letter saying that if we changed our electrical service provider, that we might be able to save some money. When we investigated it, we're in a contract until December of '25. To get out of the contract would cost us $600. Looking at our kilowatt usage is actually less this year than last year. What has happened is that the delivery charges have gone up, especially in Tilton as compared to Northfield. I don't know why one's more than the other, but that's why the things, and looking at the return on investment, we would not, if we spent the $600 to get the cheaper kilowatt hours, we wouldn't be able to make up the difference. So my recommendation is to stay in the plan that we are until it terms out, and at the end of next year, look for, shop for new rates.
Right, so it ends December next year.
Yes.
Did they, does it auto renew? Do we have to,
No, we
No,
have to sign a
You
contract.
have to sign a contract.
and how much in advance do they do that?
Oh,
30
they're
days,
starting in
60
on that
days?
now.
They're already
I
asking
just keep
us.
putting them off.
God bless
It's kind of like Medicare.
Not quite. Medicare, at least they wait until you only have 3 months left before they bug you.
them. All right, so we don't need to take any action on
No
that this
action.
time.
That's my recommendation. If you want us to spend the money, we don't have it in the budget anyways to spend it.
No, I would say not. All right, actuary report?
You want to take that, Kath?
Okay, the audit for 2023 has been completed, and one of the things they dig us on every year is that we don't have an actuarial report for our liability for like the retirement system and health insurance and all of that. That can also come into play for bonding, because it reduces our rating. Not by a lot, but by some. So we researched it, and there's Tim Pearson. The town has an actuarial, and they do it every 2 years. The report is good for 2 years, and he says it's around $3,000. And we brought this up so that if you wanted to do this, we need to get it into the budget for next year. You know, get ahead of the curve.
So the town of Tilton does this regularly.
Regularly.
Do all municipalities do this regularly? Are we like, have we been
Well,
negligent not doing it?
the reason we don't do it is because we really don't have any liabilities going forward. But you have to have somebody say that you don't have any liabilities go forward when you're looking for bonds or borrowing. Because we don't offer retirement benefits other than what the state offers. We don't offer health benefits other than what you could have gotten if you were in the old system for the state. It's not like we pay for retired employees' health insurance or contribute to retiree employees' health insurance. So going forward, we really don't have any liabilities, but we don't have a certified person saying that. And that's what they're looking for when you go for a bond or for a loan.
They want to know what your liabilities are.
Right.
And so that's what it's all about.
So in anticipation of potentially looking for financing in 2026, should we have that done?
That's
In
why
this
we-
coming year?
That's my recommendation. Entirely up to you guys if you
I
want to.
can't believe it. Just every little thing
You're
is
gonna get audited, that's
cost,
$10,000.
cost, no matter what you do.
You know,
Makes Medicare sound easy.
sure does. But it is a type of audit, so.
So how would it do if we didn't do it? Would it affect it?
So would it
Yes.
affect the interest rate you're going to pay on any borrowing?
It would have.
Yes.
So over the course of time, it's probably cheaper to pay for the audit, for the actuary, than it is to not do it and pay higher interest rate. That's basically the bottom line.
When was the last time the district had that done? Have we
Never.
ever? Never.
Oh,
Do it just before you're going to finance?
So if we get it into the budget for next year, so we could get one done at the end of '25, we're borrowing 26, it's good for 26 and 27.
But you won't get approval until March of '26, so why can't
I would
you do
make
it
sure-
at the beginning
I
of?
would make sure that we would time it appropriately.
Yeah, it's gotta come, she's gotta show up on your books of having had it
Had
done.
it done prior
audit.
to.
Now, the audit we have done takes months and months and months.
Yes.
Then it seems like it should. I don't know how
So
long.
it has to show up in the audit itself, you can't just do this independently.
Right.
Right,
Yeah, it's not
so
a-
in the audit that we do.
Can't accessorize.
I
we
like
wish.
that idea.
Yeah, I'll have to- yeah, right.
It shows in your audit for the year that they had this actuary look at it for liabilities. So if we were gonna do it,
I get it, so the auditor for next year would have it in his,
Yes.
yes.
Well, it seems like we ought to do that.
I would agree.
So where would that go in the budget?
I would
Professional
put it under
service.
audit.
Legal?
Under either audit or other professional services.
You're right. One or the other. Yeah, other professional services would be good.
What line is
Well, that is
Same line we have the,
390. That's where you stuck the, where we put the UNH survey. I don't
Page 5-ish.
Yep.
know.
We don't know the exact amount though.
No. We haven't reached out because we wanted to bring it to you first.
So should we wait till next meeting?
You have to.
Okay. Can we get a price quote on that?
Sure.
Can you put that on the agenda for next meeting? All right, can we move on? Review of minutes.
that's the end of the meeting, basically.
Mhm. You guys all have copies.
But I was okay with the minutes. I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes. 10/8/24 public meeting. Public,
Second.
as written.
All right, we have a motion made and seconded. There's one change I'd like to ask to be made on the bottom of page 5. Very last section there, meeting minutes, September 16th. Did we already correct that last time? No.
We haven't done these
Okay.
yet. Let me open them up, so.
It was a correction to the minutes from before.
October 8th, okay. What,
If you go to page 5, bottom of the page where it says meeting minutes, the last sentence that runs off the page, it says Commissioner Sadler would like for. It should say Commissioner Sadler would like, and then it should be quotes. For review of contracts, easements for new cisterns and the like, comma, warrant articles, etc., quote, to be added to the last sentence under legal. So it just needs a,
so, yes,
Sadler
so,
would like, comma, quotes, and then at the end of etc., quotes.
You need Grammarly.
well,
pay
we
for
have
that.
Grammarly, but
I didn't catch that.
since I didn't,
It's okay.
you know, he does good.
That's the only thing I noticed.
Okay, so that I have corrected now.
Any other concerns with the minutes?
Nope.
All right, All those in favor of accepting the minutes as corrected, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
We don't have to move public, we have to change those out.
2022. All right. Somebody want to make a motion? Want me to make a motion? I move the minutes of the October 22nd Commissioners' Budget Workshop meeting to the floor for approval.
Second.
I didn't have any objections. Any concerns, questions, corrections? All right, hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I'll move the minutes of the November 4th Commissioners' Budget Workshop for approval.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any corrections?
That was the 4th, right?
Yep.
Right. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I move the October 8th non-public session 2 minutes to the floor for approval.
November 8th,
What did I say?
October 8th.
So it says on the,
It's okay.
10:20.
It says October
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Okay,
it says that
cool.
on the agenda too.
Oh, non-public,
8th.
Non-public.
Non-public
Yeah.
session 2.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got copies for you guys.
You're doing the real fun stuff now.
No, I'm gonna go.
Did you have anything you wanted to
No,
say?
I
You might
don't.
wanna
Okay.
You're fine, it's great.
Thank you.
Have a good evening,
You
everyone.
too.
All right, any,
Okay, here's session,
is that the right one?
I don't know. I'm confused.
You have 2 papers.
Well, other than the fact it says where my name goes,
Well,
I have it.
Yeah,
I have an objection with that.
I would take that.
Okay, let me bring that one up, because I did those. And I take full responsibility for my typos. Okay, which one-
I voted to enter non-public.
Which one are we on now?
The October 8th non-public.
1 or 2?
This is session 2.
Must be 2, this is not on this one.
All right, so,
Another copy of that?
yeah, I gave,
That's one.
okay, so,
We can't do.
oh, I'm sorry.
We're not doing. We can't do session 1 because we're got to go into non-public to do session 1, right?
Well, do we?
Well, I don't know. I'm looking at the agenda.
I know I did that, but
Okay.
that was a question I wanted to bring up.
Anyway, motion on the floor is
For October 8th, session
2.
2,
Session 2.
Yes,
with the correction of Jason's name.
it's
at the
corrected.
bottom.
It is corrected.
All right, any
Sorry,
other,
Jason.
any other? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay,
That's session
So the
2.
question is whether we can do session 2 without going into,
session 1?
Session 1.
I'm sorry, session 1. I don't see why there's any reason we can't approve these. We don't have to go into non-public to
No.
approve these minutes.
No, because there's nothing there.
All right, I move the Commissioners' meeting of October 8th, 2024, non-public session 1, minutes to the floor for approval.
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we don't have any disposition reports, correct?
No, they didn't arrive.
We're still going.
All right, and we've signed the.
I did that one, I
yeah.
gotta still gotta take
Okay.
it.
So this is the last thing, just to approve this.
Yes.
See ya.
Thanks, Mike,
Bye,
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so.
Yes, sir.
she's just gonna-
Kathy, you're gonna need to, like, do, pay out to the officials?
Yes, I do.
When that's happening?
When would you like it?
I was gonna ask, I got my sewer check today, so I'm like, oh, gee, do we do it in March, or does it have to come out by the
It's
end
when
of
you
the
request.
But it has to come out by the end of the year.
This
but-
year?
Yes.
Okay, so whenever.
So, okay, I can do that, yeah, do that.
Okay, thank you.
I meant to ask how that goes, if it goes at
We're
meeting
pretty
time.
flexible.
Well,
Whenever you ask, I will
Yeah.
take, I will give it to you
Yeah.
guys, you know, it's not. Let me see.
Paul, isn't this where you say you gotta pay for your vacation or register your car or something?
That's what he does. I swear.
I give it to my kids for Christmas.
All right, are you all set? All right.
All right, so, let's see.
Any-
Tim, you're the only one that is direct deposit. Everyone else is a check,
Okay,
okay?
sure.
Okay.
I take cash.
I take
You
Amazon
can
gift
take your
cards.
check and go to the bank and cash it.
No, I'll take cash.
No, you can go, take your check and go to the bank and cash it.
I haven't been to my bank in years.
Thank you, Harold. Harold's doling out the cash.
You want it in $2 bills?
All right, any other business?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right, motion
Second.
been made- motion been made and second, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned at 7:27.